Hello and welcome to this evening's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Time. No, it's not. My apologies. We had some technical difficulties, but thanks to everybody who hung in there. It's great to be with you. We are just going to dive right in because I made you wait long enough. So let's start here. Usually, when a United States president comes into office, their first trip abroad is reserved for visiting our closest allies. Okay, usually that's the United Kingdom or France, Canada, countries that used to be our allies, but are no longer. Donald does not understand that the United States is, or the United States interests are separate from his. So he has a very different idea of what this country's allies are because he himself has very different allegiances. So he kicked off his first multinational trip abroad of the Trump regime, which would be the second term he's serving, on a tour of corruption through Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. He's basically been spending his time over there not pursuing the interests of the United States of America. No, he does not care. He does not care. He has been pursuing his own self-interest, and that has been in the form of very, very lucrative real estate ventures, projects that include a luxury hotel in Dubai, a high-rise tower in Jeddah, and a golf course with a villa complex in Qatar. Saudi Arabia's de facto leader, the man responsible for the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, welcomed Donald as he arrived at King Khalid International Airport in Riyadh. After that, Donald immediately got down to the business of the United States or the business of the Trump Organization. Take a look.
Read a lot of the material now out of Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed bin Salman is saying we need a resolution on a Palestinian state. And I don't necessarily recall several years ago, pre-October 7th, as that being a demand that he had necessarily stated publicly. Do you think his position has changed, or do you think the way he has expressed himself has...
I thought I asked for a video of Donald. Why did I get video of sleepy Joe Biden? Just kidding. That's Donald being sleepy. I don't know, maybe there wasn't enough gold leaf in the room to keep him awake. So yeah, he was doing the business of catching up on his sleep because he's sleepy. Donald actually did make some big announcements, I should say, at the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum. After which they announced a $600 billion, that's billion with a B, investment promise and a massive $140 billion arms deal, reportedly the biggest defense agreement in United States history. Donald is once again inflating the numbers, however, as well as making a lot of empty promises. A closer look shows that the figures that he was floating are less than half of what he said. And many of the projects are either already underway, or were before he took office, or they're lacking in concrete details. So, while the alleged $142 billion largest defense sale in history, other projects like AI data centers and entertainment complexes were previously announced or only loosely outlined. Before signing the agreement, Donald encouraged Saudi Arabia to up their investment to $1 trillion, despite economists warning that that's not financially realistic. Or is it even what we want? Like, do we really want that much Saudi Arabian money in the United States? Meanwhile, Donald lifted sanctions on Syria, which may or may not be connected to the $400 million bribe he received from Qatar in the form of a 747. He posed for photos with Saudi elites, and he turned the United States Saudi Investment Forum into a billionaire showcase with a lot of things in common with a MAGA rally. This forum featured white nationalists and pro-apartheid diehards, Elon Musk and David Sachs. Larry Fink was also there. They had no conversations at all about the very real geopolitical threats facing us and our planet. There are many more, of course. It's a good thing, actually, for him, because again, this is about his business, not about the business of the United States, that he fired all of the inspectors general and anybody involved in oversight when he first came into office. But perhaps most shocking of the many shocking things that have occurred already on this visit, is what he had to say about a solution between the current tensions that exist between, well, not just tensions. There has been actual fighting between Pakistan and India.
So hard. Marco, stand up. What a great job you did in that. Thank you, J.D. Vance. Marco. The whole group worked with you, but it was a great job. And I think they're actually getting along. Maybe we can even get them together a little bit, Marco, where they go out and have a nice dinner together. Wouldn't that be nice? But we've come a long way, and that's could be, millions of people could have died from that conflict that started off small and was getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the day.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure what he thinks he's talking about, but India and Pakistan, between which there have been tensions for a very, very long time, nearly went to war this weekend. There were actual missile strikes, air battles, there was nuclear posturing and saber rattling. And this was after weeks of escalating tension over an attack in Kashmir. Marco Rubio actually led crisis diplomacy. There were marathon calls with Indian and Pakistani officials, culminating in a DGMO to DGMO ceasefire, which something Donald was quick to take credit for by social media, even though he probably didn't know what was happening at the time. Sources say that Narendra Modi, who's the Prime Minister of India, was non-committal and told J.D. Vance that any escalation from Pakistan would be met with force, while Pakistan briefly signaled nuclear readiness by convening its National Command Authority. I don't think having them all go out to dinner is going to solve this problem, a problem that as I said, is long-standing and almost escalated past the point of return. But Donald does not understand such things. I think that is his idea of diplomacy and statecraft. Just everybody go out to dinner. So we've been watching unfold the it's almost dramatization of the intense humiliation of the United States of America in the person of its ostensible leader. Because in this very short period of time, and not as if we needed reminding, but Donald Trump has shown the world he's for sale, and he is willing to strip America and sell it for its parts. This is a massive humiliation from which we won't and shouldn't recover. But of course, the corruption is not limited to foreign states. All of this is happening here as well. So, Representative Sri Tanadar of Michigan just triggered a forced House vote on 7 articles of impeachment against Donald, accusing him of obstruction, abuse of power, corruption, and outright tyranny, much of it tied to his Department of Government Efficiency, and also, of course, his personal profiteering, and I'm sure part of that is the quite blatant market manipulation Donald's been engaged in. Of course, this did not go on without some shows of absurdity from Republicans. Representative Joe Wilson of South Carolina interrupted Representative Tanadar in completely ignoring the fact that he had the floor.
A resolution impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors in the Department of Education.
from South Carolina seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from Michigan was recognized for 1 minute. He has substantially exceeded 1 minute with absurdities.
If I may, actually, the gentleman is, at this point had spoken for 1 minute, then was recognized subsequently to give notice under Rule 9 for a resolution. So the gentleman has the floor for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
the gentleman from Michigan may continue.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if the people who worked in the House of Representatives knew how the procedures in the House of Representatives worked? That would be fantastic. Now, of course, the move by Tanadar blindsided House leadership and has Democrats upset because many are worried it's going to backfire politically or force them into publicly divisive vote they'd rather avoid, which sounds depressingly on brand. Tanadar is facing a tough primary challenge next year, but he bypassed party coordination entirely, telling reporters, quote, "I didn't seek permission," unquote. House Republicans are expected to kill the motion quickly, but the spectacle exposes fractures inside the Democratic caucus over how to confront Donald's authoritarianism. As Tanadar put it, quote, "I had to do my constitutional duty," unquote, but the political fallout is just beginning. The dysfunction in the House continued at the House Energy and Commerce Committee meeting, where the proposed cuts to Medicaid were discussed. It became clear that no matter how the Republicans spin it, the American people greatly oppose these cuts and want their voices to be heard. Protesters interrupted the hearing, particularly when Representative Palmer of Alabama was speaking.
The interesting thing is, you will not. Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman will suspend. I want you to be heard, so let's wait to the gentleman is recognized.
It's unfortunate that people are so enraged by the misinformation that they've been given. It's a commentary on this this Congress and how we treat people.
Well, I mean, you got that last part right. Misinformation is, of course, coming from him because the Republicans actually are trying to cut Medicaid and many other programs that the Americans count on. So if Palmer wants to talk about misinformation, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was there to speak truth to power about the real misinformation being spread about these cuts.
Even if you believe everything that Republicans have said today, they are identifying 1 million, their claim, which I dispute, but if you believe them, their claim is that 1 million undocumented people are on Medicaid. So why are they trying to cut 13.7 million Americans off their health care? This bill bans the people that they kick off of Medicaid from even buying their own insurance from the Affordable Care Act exchange. So once you are kicked off Medicaid, you then can't even buy your own health insurance. It increases costs for people who they deem eligible and who are low income and forces them to pay even more. And if you have a private insurer, don't worry, you're getting screwed over too, because your healthcare premiums are going to skyrocket from the disaster that is happening from this bill.
Now, you listen to that, and everything she said is true. You look at the infighting in the Republican Party in the House of Representatives over these proposed cuts. Some deficit hawks are infuriated that the cuts aren't big enough, and then you have representatives like Michael Lawler in New York who are in more swing districts, and they're terrified what's going to happen if a large percentage of their constituents lose their coverage. So why cannot Democrats hang together here and understand that all they need to do is stay united while the Republicans fracture? Just give them enough rope. Why cannot the Democrats understand the threat we're actually facing? Like the idea that you could be against a vote to impeach Donald Trump is insane to me, quite frankly. There's so many reasons to impeach him. A new one just cropped up yesterday, 2 days ago. And they're worried that it might look unseemly. So, just shows you the Republicans are going to implode, they're going to overstep, they're going to overreach if the Democrats can stay out of their own way. And the best way for the Democrats to do that is understand what the fight actually is. Wouldn't that be nice? One thing that all the parties can agree on is that inflation is a bad thing. Cool. In April, the consumer price index increased by 2.3% compared to a year ago, coming in slightly below economists' expectations, but still exceeding the Federal Reserve 2% inflation target. Economists had projected a 2.4% rise for the CPI, and on a monthly basis, prices rose 0.2%, also falling short of the anticipated 0.3%. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, housing costs were a primary contributor to inflation in April. Energy prices also have been edging up despite a drop in gasoline costs, but this is due to higher costs of natural gas and electricity. Meanwhile, grocery prices saw a modest decline of 0.1% from March, and the cost of a dozen grade A eggs fell by 12.7% to $5.12, but that is still quite near historic highs. So, again, when we were told that prices would be lowered on day one and inflation would be lowered on day one, we were lied to. Because nothing that's happened in the last 3 months is conducive to lowering prices or inflation or stabilizing our deeply destabilized economy. An economy that continues to be destabilized by the completely illogical approach of a man who doesn't understand how economics work and does nothing but create chaos and uncertainty. And those are two things that things like the stock market do not handle well. Inflation, which again is edging up, is not the only problem the Trump regime is facing. Earlier today, a group of 20 Democratic state attorneys general filed 2 federal lawsuits alleging that the Trump regime is attempting to coerce states into adopting its immigration policies by threatening to withhold billions in transportation and disaster relief funding. The lawsuits claim that Homeland Security Secretary, puppy murderer Kristi Noem, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy have both threatened that states refusing to comply with the administration's immigration agenda could lose those federal funds. During a press conference earlier, California Attorney General Rob Bonta said that the threat is quote-unquote imminent, and that, quote, the president, Donald that is, can't use these funds as a bargaining chip as his way of ensuring states abide by his preferred policies, unquote. No, he can't, but he's going to. Because who's going to stop him? Hopefully, these legal actions will slow things down in court, but, I mean, we saw that happen in Maine. Maine prevailed. But we still don't know what kind of retaliatory actions the Trump regime is going to pursue. So we'll have to wait it out once again and hope somehow that even if the courts side with the rule of law, there will be some enforcement mechanism to prevent the Trump regime from continuing to chip away at the rule of law. Well, just because of the technical difficulties, we need an emotional support moment. But, it's been another, is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Feels like Thursday or Friday. But, we need an ESM, as we call them here at MTM. So, we're going back to birds, which I love, and one of my favorite kinds of birds, the flightless penguin. So spring, as you may have noticed, for those of you who live in places with spring as the season, is here. So it's nesting season at Shed Aquarium in Chicago. So Magellanic and rockhopper penguins are building nests with materials to attract a mate or to strengthen bonds. And some have been known to steal from nests of others. By offering materials and adjusting the lighting that mimic options available in their native habitats, the Shed Aquarium is helping to support the natural behaviors of the penguins. So check this out. Awesome, and it's nice to know that rockhopper penguins come by their names, honestly. Also, for a second, I got distracted and I thought the rocks were eggs. I was like, holy that's a lot of penguin eggs. Anyway, we should be so lucky. Okay, so because of the technical difficulties, I don't have access to your comments, which makes me feel bad. So I'm just going to have to say to all of you generally, thank you so very much for being patient. This was a pain in the neck, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure it doesn't happen again. That is for sure. Thank you, even though I can't do this personally tonight, unfortunately. Thank you to everybody who is a super sticker, everybody who gave us a gift. You know I say this often, but it's worth repeating. We are so very grateful to everything you guys contribute. It helps us out tremendously. And on that note, I wanted to mention that today we have launched YouTube paid subscriptions, which doesn't affect anything here. Like, to become a subscriber to our channel, that's free. You just literally click subscribe and then click on the bell icon so you can get alerted every time we have new videos. But paid subs, there are different levels of them, and it gives you access to extras. So I encourage you to check them out. There's some fun stuff that we're going to be doing. And again, lots of extra content, and check out the YouTube paid subs and just, see if you're interested. But it's just another way to help out, to get involved, which we would appreciate very much. To everybody watching on YouTube, to everybody live streaming from Twitter and my Substack, The Good in Us, thank you very much. To all of our podcasting people, thank you. As always, thanks to our moderators for helping out and keeping this community awesome. I just, again, want to remind all of you that the best way to support us, and the simplest way to support us, I should say, is just to subscribe to the channel. And remember that we have videos dropping every day that are pre-recorded. Like them, share them, comment on them. That really, really, really helps us as well. And, of course, to my amazing team for keeping this ship afloat. The news has been quite difficult to keep up with. So the fact that they do such a tremendous job is a testament to them. So thanks, guys. Let's see. Okay, so that does it for us. Again, I am so very sorry about the technical difficulties. It's a mystery, but we will solve it, I promise you. And I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for Marriage Up Live. And that's Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So that does it for us. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.